Welcome to Below the Surface, the podcast where we go beyond the small talk and dive deep into the conversations that matter.
From personal growth to the complexities of human behaviour, we explore the stories, ideas and experiences that shape our world without the fluff.
Expect raw, thought-provoking discussions with fascinating guests and plenty of insights to challenge the way that you think.
So if you're ready to look below the surface, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it.
So, who is Maureen MJ Coaching Joyce? How was that intro? That was a good intro.
That was a good intro, yeah. Well done, Kieran. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
It's a hard question.
Yeah, it puts you on the spot.
It does put you on the spot. I would say I am somebody who I'm trying really hard to live an authentic and fulfilling life. I would say personality-wise, I am a get up and go getter, but I'm also, I don't take myself too seriously at times. Gavin might disagree. But I like to have the crack and I like to have a bit of fun. But I also, if I'm passionate about something, it's like tunnel vision, let's go. So yeah, I'm really just trying to live my best life, being the best version of myself that I possibly can.
Very good. Very good. I like that. And I enjoy working with you. As you said, you can differentiate. We have the crack, and then we can get serious then. And I think working with you has been good for me too, because you give me them nudges that I need. Like sometimes I'll leave things until the last minute, whereas I know if like you need something done,
I want it done yesterday.
Bang, quick fire. So that works well for me too.
We do balance each other out, I think, because like that, I might bring you along, but if I'm in a bit of a flap or if I need to, in a bit of a tiz and I actually need to calm down, I think because you are so calm, it kind of does naturally bring me down anyway. Yeah. So it's good. It's good. It's good dynamic.
It's a good balance. Yeah. So I suppose let's start from the beginning. Let's start from when you were a little gossawer. What did that look like? What did...
I was like football crazy. Football was my whole entire life. And I was actually like very good at it. It took me a long time to actually say that about myself, but I was very good at it. I loved it. Like every day, all day, I'd be outside playing football. Like my brother'd be inside reading or something, and I'd be outside like rolling in the dirt or playing football. So I absolutely loved football. I just wanted to do that all the time. I thought that was what I was going to be doing as a career. Now this is as a very young child. I thought that's what I would be doing, but I was very playful, very independent, very happy child. Like just constantly on the go. So like that was literally my whole entire life, was just playing sport. But I got bullied for that in school because one time I was playing football for the school and my principal at the time said, now he was messing, but he said, "Ma, your hair's getting in the way of your football, you'll have to cut it off." So I was like, well, I love football. I don't want anything getting in the way of the football, so cut off all my hair.
Just like that?
No,
no second thoughts?
No.
Bang, gone.
Bang, ma'am, let's ask Grania to cut my hair, and cut it off short. And that was that. I was like, this is great. So I thought that was great and I loved it. But as the years went on and more exposure outside of my primary school, I was getting bullied because I was playing with the boys. I dressed like a boy. Well, now, did I say I dressed in shorts and football jerseys, like, because I was playing football all the time.
Yeah.
But because I was playing with the boys and all of that, and I had the short hair, everyone mistaked me as a boy. So that bullying went on from, I'd say, like primary school, and it carried on all the way into secondary school.
So it started from as young as primary school?
Oh, yeah, it started from like a really young age.
And like, what was your first reaction to like, did you just think people were messing, or was it hurtful from the get-go?
Oh yeah, it was hurtful. Like it was mostly boys that would do it as well. They'd be shouting like, when they'd cop on that, oh, that's actually a girl that's playing, they'd be like, oh, that's a girl, but she looks like a boy, and ha ha ha, and you'd be hearing this from the sideline. Like, as I'm talking about now, I can envision being down in Kilmina GA pitch and lads on the sideline, taking the piss. But I was like, but at the same time, looking back, I think they were shocked because I was able to keep up with the lads and I was able to rough and ready them.
Well, they were probably the lads that was probably giving the abuse.
Well, yeah, but then they realised, oh, that's actually a girl. And then they were like, that's when the piss taking started. But, so that happened at like a very young age. And it definitely, like, I was a very sensitive child.
Yeah.
And I would say I still am a sensitive person, but I have, like, learned to control it a bit more. But as a child, I was a very sensitive child. So the likes of that now just instantly would upset me, or I'd be very hurt. And why are people calling me names, or why are they seeing me differently, or, you know, and it instantly starts to challenge your sense of self-worth. And you're like, I'm different. You know, why are people, you know, being mean to me, you know, as a child. That's kind of the thoughts that's going through. So that's kind of how that went as a young child.
And did you speak to anyone? Like, when that would happen, when you go home, would you say it to your mum or your dad, or like?
No,
you just kept it to yourself.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think I ever made them aware of it, because actually, recently now, in the last number of years, like, I have spoke to my mother about that. I think she was oblivious.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think she had any idea that I would have been bullied.
And like when you went home, say from and that would have gone on, that bullying would have gone on. When you got home, then did you obviously felt safe at home? Were you still? Were you upset when you went home as well, or did you kind of put it to the back of your mind?
I think I just kept it all to myself, and I didn't want to deal with it. I kind of was like, I don't want to think about this now, because I don't want to ruminate about it. I kind of just wanted to let it go.
Yeah. Cool.
Because it wasn't like in my school now that I wasn't getting bullied. I was very, you know, I was the only girl in the school that the lads actually let play football with them.
Yeah.
So I was well liked in the school, but it was outside of the school where you were playing matches against other teams or playing for the club.
Yeah.
And people on the sideline, or you're being at the cool camps and there's other kids from other schools there. And that's where the name calling and stuff started. But it definitely had an impact on myself, of my own identity, who I was, why was people looking at me differently, my self-esteem, my body image, like from a very young age, my sense of self-worth. So that carried with me all the way up until I was in secondary school. And the thing about the hair was, for me, it was just easy. And like, I'm sitting here now, I have short hair again, but it's been a process to get to here.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I find it easy to have short hair. But then the bullying, as soon as the bullying continued into secondary school.
Yeah, what was the process, the jump? So the jump from primary school to secondary school, like, what was your initial kind of, how, were you nervous going in?
I was terrified going to secondary school, yeah.
Did you know that this... Like,
I was afraid.
You were afraid of it?
I was terrified, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, we're going into secondary school now. There's going to be people in the school that I don't know, or, you know, I was comfortable in my primary school. Now you're going into another school with all of these people that potentially have been calling you names, and now you've got the lad school as well, who are there afterwards and at lunchtime, and it was all a bit overwhelming. So I was terrified going into school, and I didn't particularly like school. Like, I would have loved to have just, you know, just sitting down in a classroom having to read a book or stuff like that. That just wasn't my thing. Like, I'd love to be outside playing all day. Wouldn't any child, but
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
But some people can sit down and read and take in the information, and it's not a big deal to them. But I just found it very difficult.
Yeah.
So then I just really didn't want to go into secondary school, and I knew it was going to be harder. And then I was kind of worried about just being like more vulnerable in a bigger, larger community of people. So I was quite petrified, and I think I definitely kind of hid or clung to my friend group. I felt safe when I was around them.
Yeah.
And if I was kind of walking around on my own, I'd be kind of nearly looking over my shoulder, being like, is there anyone looking at me, or who's there? So I was just very how would I say it? I wouldn't say I was self-aware. I was nearly too inside in my head thinking, like, probably a bit paranoid.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
But I had every reason to be, because the bullying then continued in secondary school, where, because I had short hair, and the lads in the secondary schools then started catching on to calling me names for having short hair.
So when you started secondary school, like, what was the transition like? Was it straight away, the bullying, or were you there a while before it started?
I probably was there a while before it started, yeah. I think, you know, you probably remember back in the Rice College and Sacred Heart, the lads would be coming out, you could see down onto the football pitch.
Yeah.
So you'd get names thrown at you there
Yeah.
sometimes. But the particular time I remember is after school, going home after school, when the lads they finished earlier than the girls' school, and the lads would be all nearly waiting outside the school.
I can imagine how intimidating that
and
be
like
for anyone.
For
like,
anyone,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Loads of kids all around at the same time, and then a load of fellas all congregated on the corner of the street that you have to pass to get to your bus to get home. And then like the name calling started there. But I then started to be like, okay, well, I don't want this anymore. I want to stop the name calling. So how do I stop this? Well, they're calling me names because of my short hair. And I was thinking, well, how do we fix this problem? Let's grow my hair. But then there was some guy that was maybe in the year ahead of me or 2 years ahead of me who had long hair. And now I was getting called his name, and I don't know, was he getting called my name? You know, I only know my side of it. But I was like, geez, you can't fucking avoid it no matter what I do.
It's a fucking lose-lose, like.
Yeah. But it was tough. I wouldn't like to see any child go through it now. Like, you know, it was very hard to deal with, and I kept it all to myself. And I didn't really deal with it at the time. And like, if anyone said boo to me, like, you know, I'd be nearly crying because I was that sensitive.
Yeah. And like, if just like to say to someone that was maybe starting in your position now, going into that school, like, what would your advice be to someone if they were experienced being bullied? Like,
I would say definitely, like, tell a teacher or tell your parents or tell somebody that you felt comfortable talking to. I don't think it did me any favours trying to hold it all in myself, because somebody who was better equipped to deal with that situation could have maybe talked me through explaining that because of my hair or these names, it was more of a reflection on the person calling them than it was on me, and to help improve my sense of self-worth, or have that sense of security in the school that you felt like you weren't isolated. It's not the school's fault because they didn't know about it. It's not my parents' fault because they didn't know about it. But I just didn't feel comfortable telling anybody about it because I just wanted to try and ignore it. But if anyone now was going through it, I would say definitely for a young teenager to tell more people, not just one person, like, you know, tell a number of people, this is how I'm feeling, I'm not enjoying, you know, this is what I'm experiencing, it's making me feel upset, it's making me feel sad, it's making me question how I think about myself, how can I deal with this, or can you help me? I definitely would say to reach out.
that's good, because actually going back to what you said there, like, no one, like, that being explained to you that the person that's doing the bullying here is, they're struggling with something there, like, this is a reflection on them. Like, even just knowing that alone, like, that would give you peace of mind to, like, it's probably, like, I don't know, do you think it was personal, or was it just someone that was just dealing with other stuff themselves, like, or do you think it was a personal
I probably felt like, did I feel like it was a personal attack? I don't know, I probably felt like a bit of a target, because in my friend group at the time, I wasn't still now, I'm not the most girly girl.
Yeah.
And I felt like, oh, I'm just a target. I was blaming myself for it all. I brought this on myself because I have the short hair, I'm a bit overweight, I'm not your typical girl. So I was blaming myself for being called the names.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what my thought process was at the time. But that doesn't mean that was actually true, do you know? But I didn't understand that.
Yeah. But as you said, if you had, like, someone that explains this to you, then it definitely would help.
It would help the situation.
100%.
Yeah.
And definitely, like, anyone who is getting bullied should definitely
100%.
definitely stop that straight away.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid, like, to talk, and, you know, that's how you stop it. Like,
but I think I was probably afraid that I would get in trouble, even though I felt like I was the cause of the bullying, but I wasn't the cause of the bullying.
Yeah.
But that's how I felt.
You were just confused.
Yeah. And I think maybe kids now as well, they're afraid to say something in case they feel like they're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be good if more kids would be opening up to talking about talking to people about that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I suppose then we moved on to the sporting. Like, we moved on to you playing football, and, like, I remember watching games, and, like, you were the mainstay on every team in there. Like, you know, I remember, like, my sister obviously played as well, so we'd go and watch the games. But you were the core of the team there. Like, you and a couple of more girls on the Gaelic team and the soccer team. Like, How did that make you, did that obviously give you a different lease of life going into school? That made you, like, obviously want to go into school for that reason?
For that reason.
For that reason,
yeah. I was like, okay, I loved football. I'm good at the football. I enjoy it. Like that, like I said earlier, when I'm passionate about something, I want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
So like I really wanted to get into that.
And you're highly respected by all your players, your peers there.
Yeah, and I think that was part of it as well, that like that I felt, okay, well, these people like me, or I'm proving that I'm good enough because I'm good at football.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
But as I started to get older and you become a teenager and you start to become more aware of your body, I was skill-wise, like, you know, one of the good footballers on the team, but I was never the fittest. And I was always maybe one of the ones who was a bit more overweight. So that, from being judged on my appearance, growing up from a really young age, I had this struggle with my body image and struggled with being slightly overweight playing football and uncomfortable to get changed in the changing rooms and stuff like that. So it kind of had a ripple effect into how I felt about myself all the way up through all the years.
So we're looking maybe starting when the bullying first started, that having an effect on how we are now.
Yeah, 100%. Like the way the bullying from the beginning, it made me then, you know, judge myself and judge my whole appearance and everything, because I was being judged for my appearance. So then as you grow up, you kind of hold that in the back of your mind. And if you're anyways like that, I was a bit overweight. So then I was saying to myself, you know, I'm not good enough because I'm a bit overweight. Or, you know, anyone that has body image issues, if you were to ask them, if they were to be honest about it, it's like they're trying to prove their worth through their body.
Yeah.
Which is a bit skewed, but we can't deny that that's the way things have been.
Yeah. Well, we're very visual.
Yeah.
You know, in this day and age.
Yeah.
So, and even back then as well, like we were.
Yeah.
But so that had a massive effect. And you were quite successful on the field. I
was, yeah.
You have 2 All-Ireland medals.
2 All-Ireland medals for soccer for the
that's
school.
That's incredible.
That's it was amazing. Yeah. I have 2 All-Ireland medals. And I got onto the Connacht Schools team, and I went and did trials for Ireland, and I got to the last 20 in Ireland, but I had a knee that caused me a lot of bother, and I got to the last 20, and I can envision it now. I was standing in the kitchen, looking out the kitchen window at home, and the girl rang me and she said, "We can't take you on any further. You're a liability because of your knee injury." So that was my football career over. And like, that was like the world fucking ended for me, who my whole life revolved around football.
What age were you then?
I would have been 15 or 16.
So we're looking at an identity
I
identified
as a footballer.
Wow.
I was a footballer. I thought I was going to be a professional footballer.
So that's a big pill to swallow there, like.
Yeah. And then when she said that, instantly I was like, well, I have to get the surgery done on my knee, and hopefully I'll get back to playing football again. But to have that, you know, dream of playing for your country and getting so far down in the panel, getting down to the last 20, and then for it to just be ripped out from underneath you, it was tough.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go from there. So what was the chain of events from there? I suppose there was a bit of grief there, I would say, definitely.
Grief, yeah, totally, because I had to let go of everything that I knew and everything that I loved.
Yeah.
And linked with pain. So I went down the route of having the surgery, and to try and make a long story short, I had the surgery was unsuccessful, and I was out of football for a long time. So I didn't really play football much in the later half of secondary school years. So like, you know, in the senior years.
Yeah.
Didn't play an awful lot of football then because I wasn't fit for it. But I did go back for a little while, and again, back to the whole body image thing. When I went back playing after the first surgery, and I thought I was able to get back playing, and I did for a little while. And one of the teachers in the school, I don't know if I should say this, but anyway, one of the teachers in the school said to me, "Oh, it's great that you're coming back playing. It'd be great now if you just lost a bit of weight." So, hello.
Yeah.
All this trouble that I've had, or these worries that I've had about my image and how I look, and then I have a teacher telling me, a teenager, that it'd be great if I could lose some weight.
It's just the height of ignorance, really.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, you know?
Now, to be fair, he didn't mean it in any he didn't mean to upset me.
It wasn't sinister.
Yeah, no, he didn't mean it like that.
It still hits. Like,
but that's how I perceived it, and that's how I. Now, my mother did speak to him and say, look, you're really upset or whatever, and he did apologise because he didn't. Now, I know myself now as an adult, he didn't mean to do that, but you can see how much of an impact it can actually have on a person, especially who has gone through a traumatic time of their whole childhood being bullied for their appearance and having that worry about, oh, I'm not good enough because I'm a bit overweight. And then you have an adult telling you, well, it'd be great now if you could lose a bit of weight, like saying that you're not good enough now, but if you lose a bit of weight, you will be good enough. So it's just a mind fuck.
Really? Yeah, it really is. It really is. So I suppose then, the thing you love going to school for was kind of taken away from you.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, what are we looking at? We have 3 years left in school now where you can't do the thing. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, no, I just didn't want to be in school. I didn't want to be in school from the get-go. I was like, I don't like school. I just don't want to be here. But I suffered it out. I made my way through and I did all right. I wouldn't like to go back to it now, but I'd say then, as the later years in life, you start getting older, you start getting exposed to alcohol, cigarettes, all of that. I don't know, did I start smoking when I was in school? I think I did, actually.
Yeah, right.
I was smoking in school.
Was this is going to be the next chapter now of when you got this news?
Yeah,
so this is how we're going to deal with this news.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Well, now actually, I think I was smoking at a time when I was playing football, but that could have been a time where I kind of came back for a little while and then realised, oh, my knee isn't actually fixed after the first surgery.
And you wanted to be a cool kid.
And wanted to be a cool kid. Because I had started hanging around with people who were and like that, you just do what's around your environment.
Yeah.
So that was just the norm.
Yeah.
So I started smoking and I started drinking and just like being I don't want to say being a cool kid, but I just didn't have any purpose. I was going to school for a purpose of playing football. I'm good at this. I could be a professional footballer someday. But now that was all taken away from me. So I didn't really have a purpose or a drive, or I didn't know what my life was going to look like at that stage because I had it in my head, well, I'm not going to college.
Yeah, right.
So I was a bit lost. I was very lost at that stage.
Yeah.
It was just a case of, let me get through these last 3 years and then I'm just going to go working. Like that's, and work at what? Haven't a clue.
Yeah. Just get a job.
A job that's going to pay you a wage to earn your living.
You see so many people doing that too. Like,
I had no vision or didn't have any idea of what my life was going to look like at that point.
Yeah. So the social part of it started becoming an importance. Obviously, you were drinking and you were going out, and how was that period in your life?
I'd say it was tough. I did it and I probably enjoyed it for a while because...
As a novelty,
yeah. And it was kind of like, well, you should be enjoying this. This is what all your friends are doing.
Yeah.
And I won't deny that I definitely did have fun and I definitely did have the crack. But afterwards, I was just kind of like, what are you at? It just felt so disconnected from what I wanted, even though I didn't know what I wanted. But a part of me must have known, like on a subconscious or a deeper level, that this isn't what I wanted.
Was there a light bulb moment that, like, was there any particular incident or scenario or anything that you were like, oh, fuck this, like, and this isn't of any value to me right here now?
Yeah, but that was probably into my mid-20s now before that actually kicked in.
So it's gone on for a few years of just kind of back and forth and fucking about. Like
fucking about, exactly. Yeah. From the age of 16 up until about 21-ish, it was all fucking about. And like when I got a car, staying out late at night, not coming home, nights that I was going out drinking, like staying at a friend's house and not coming home until the next morning, and things like that. And I didn't enjoy it at all. And even like, you get a hangover the next day, but I would have the fear for the week of guilt of being like, what were you at?
Yeah.
And I can only speak for myself and my own experience. Some people love to do that, but for me, it just was not what I wanted to do at all, and I did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I think it got to the stage where I was like, well, why the fuck are you doing it then?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to detach myself from the fact that, okay, well, all your friends are doing it, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. So that definitely, I kind of had that realization that just because everyone else was doing it doesn't mean that I had to continue to do it. And I think the urge just started to get stronger and stronger for me to actually listen to myself.
Yeah.
And start to pay attention to, this makes you feel shit, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
You prefer to be able to hop in your car and go home when you want to. Why aren't you doing that more? So again, I just started to listen to my own inner voice and be like, okay, let's go with this. Let's do more of the things that you want to do rather than doing the things that are making you feel like shite.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so what age were you when you stopped drinking then? Did you drink, were you just like sporadically drinking, not as aggressively as like say 17 to 21? Did it start to get less?
It did. As I went into my 20s, I still drank, but nowhere near to the extent.
So occasions. And,
so
okay.
like after 21-ish, like that, I'd have a drink, but I wasn't going out every weekend. Maybe it was more than 21. It could have been 23.
Yeah.
But after about 23 or that, I definitely was drinking like very rarely. I just have no interest in it. I'd be like, I don't really want to go out into the pub. And then you see, I was playing music as well. When we get to this stage, I was like gigging in pubs and stuff like that. So rather than me being the one drinking, I was, driving to pubs and playing music.
There's a bit of purpose coming here now.
Yes.
So
I was getting a bit of purpose back to my life.
Yeah, and it's so important. The way when you find that.
Oh, 100%. And again, it was something that I enjoyed and it was something that I was very good at.
Excellent at, yeah.
But
brilliant.
thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
So I was doing a lot of that. So I wasn't actually out drinking and I was earning money. And again, I was getting that fulfillment out of, I'm doing something that I like, it's enjoyable, I'm good at it.
And how good is it making money doing something that you like doing?
Unreal.
That's just the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's unreal, unreal. Now it didn't feel like work for a while. It took its toll after a while, but I definitely reduced as I started to do that more and realised that I don't actually like to be around drunk people.
Yeah.
When I was sober and you have them coming up roaring in your ear, play fucking Wagon Wheel. It's like, Wagon Wheel. God. Yeah, it's like, no. But then I started to realise again that I started to think, I just don't like that. And I know people might think that's very judgy and whatever, but it is what it is. I just don't like it.
That's just the truth.
Yeah. So I started to gradually pull away from it more and more. And it would be very, very rare that I would drink. But then it's got to the stage now where I just don't want to drink anymore.
Yeah, that's, it's powerful, yeah. Yeah, good for you. So the gigging, you were gigging with your boyfriend at the time.
Yes.
The two of you were gigging 6 nights a week?
Yeah, could be 7 nights sometimes.
Wow.
In the summers now, it'd be crazy.
How hectic and intense is that?
Oh, I was wrecked all the time because I was working a full-time job as well. So I was working 9 till 6 and then, gigging in the evenings during the week and the summer. And sometimes at the weekends, you'd have 2 gigs in a day.
Wow.
So it was full on. It was hard work. And at this stage now, it started to turn into, this is a job, we're not enjoying it because we were just so burnt out. And then because we were in a relationship.
That's what I was going to say. Could you differentiate?
No.
Yeah.
We were in a relationship and then we were working together and it was just clashing. Because if you had an argument before you went to a gig and next thing you have to sit in front of a pub.
Smiling at him.
Yeah. You're playing the wrong fucking song.
Yeah, that's tough.
No, it was hard and it was testing on our relationship and it just turned the gigging into a chore. It wasn't enjoyable anymore. But then the gigging my identity as a singer got whipped from under me.
Go more into that.
So we were playing at a 30th birthday party. We were hired to play at this 30th birthday party.
You and your boyfriend?
Me and David, yeah. So we were hired to play at this birthday party and then just at the end of that night, my voice was completely gone. Just completely gone. Just all of a sudden, I was singing all night. Next thing, I can't hardly talk. Voice was completely gone. So I thought it's just, okay, we've overdone it tonight and my voice is gone. You know that song Shallow, the Lady Gaga song?
Yeah.
So that was popular at the time. And that particular night, that's a taxing song to sing. But I was asked to sing that twice on that particular night.
Okay.
And I think that's the last song I sang before my voice completely went. I could hear it going towards the end and I was like, I'm done. I can't physically get any sound out of my voice.
Yeah, right.
So my voice was completely gone after that. And I thought okay, it's just from overuse. But it wasn't coming back. Like a few days later, still couldn't talk. Eventually went to the doctor, and the doctor was kind of like, oh, it'll come back itself, or I think they might have given me an antibiotic. Eventually it did come back after about 2 weeks of rest, but as I went back into gigging, then all of a sudden my voice wasn't warming up beforehand. I was struggling to sing. I was getting pain in my vocal cords, like down in my throat, and I'd always feel like there was a frog in my throat.
Right.
And I was kind of like, shh, and he'd be saying, what is wrong with you? Will you sing the song? And I'm like, I actually can't. I don't know what's wrong.
That's mad.
And he'd be getting annoyed, like, that they was sounding bad. And I'd be like, I have no control here. I don't know what's going on. So that was going on for a while. And I was saying, I'm literally not able to sing. You'll have to sing more songs. But eventually I knew that there was something wrong, like really wrong.
Yeah.
So I asked to be sent for an ENT appointment where they put the camera down up your nose and down your throat.
Right.
And I was told that I had burst blood vessels on my vocal cords. Now, if you continue to sing or to push through that, you eventually can get these nodules on your vocal cords, which have to be surgically removed. So he was like, you have to stop everything now. Have you stopped singing? I was like, yeah, I have. So I had to stop everything, and I had to go to voice therapy. So it's like speech and language therapy, but some speech and language therapists don't do the voice therapy.
Okay.
So I had to go for specific voice therapy to heal the vocal cords, which, there was a lot of rehab exercises. But then COVID hit, and my last appointment was cancelled. And then, COVID and the pandemic, it was kind of, I was off, finished singing anyway.
Yeah.
And that just kind of went out the window. It didn't become a priority because the pandemic kind of took everyone's attention.
Yeah, right.
But still to this day now, I cannot sing. And like COVID was how long ago?
That's
4 or 5 years ago.
And can you sing? Well, you just can't sing to the ability you were at before, but you can still like.
No, can nowhere near sing to the ability that I can before. But even now, like, to try and sing a song, after a few minutes, my throat would start to hurt, and I could my voice would crack, and then I'd have to stop. And that's because I was told, if you hear that cracking, you need to stop, because you could potentially do damage to your vocal cords if you push through that.
And how that must have been a tough one as well. Like.
Oh, again, I was a singer. Everyone knew me as a singer.
So you had like
another identity.
Got an identity, and that had been whipped away from you too.
Okay,
well. Right.
Yeah,
so now we need to go for another identity.
No, well, it's like, again, didn't know what was going to happen. COVID came, and just before COVID hit, myself and my boyfriend at the time had split up.
So you split. Was this part of the reason of the ban, of you not being able to gig anymore, or no? It was just.
Well, that was part of it. Yeah. So I had stopped gigging, and then he was going off to Australia. But then afterwards, I was like, I haven't got my voice back. I'm not even bothered going out trying to gig again, even though I had a lot of people come to me and ask me to join them. But I knew that, I was saying I can't sing, and they were like, oh, you're grand, just play the cajon, which is like a percussion instrument that you sit on and you like tap it like a drum. But I knew, like, this isn't going to happen. Like, they're going to ask me to sing, and it's not going to be fulfilling for me if I see myself as a singer and now I can't do it.
Yeah.
So that all ripped from under me, and I don't really want to go into the nitty gritty of the breakup, because
no. Had you planned on going to Australia as well, or
no? So that's what I mean. The breakup was a very difficult situation, but I don't really want to go into it out of respect for the other person.
Yeah, of course.
It's not anybody's business, really.
Yeah.
But it was very hard. It was a very hard situation.
So there's more grief there now that we have to deal with here.
Yeah.
And like you were obviously together for a long time, and
we were together for 2.5 years, but we had been friends before that.
So there was a lot of love there. Like.
There was, yeah. So we started as friends. We started as bandmates.
Yeah.
And then we became very close doing that, and then it turned into a relationship. So there was years of a
strong
feelings built there.
Yeah.
And then for that to just be ripped from under you, and I didn't know what am I going to do with my life now. I really identified now with being this person's partner. So I probably didn't. I was probably relying. Now I can see I was relying so much on the relationship for me to feel happy. But then when it was gone, it was like, what do you have now? I felt like I had nothing left. I literally felt like somebody had died, that the world was over. Like I was very unwell for a while. I had to stop working and everything.
Really?
Yeah, I was very unwell. It took a massive toll on me. But at the same time, it ended up being the best thing that has happened to me.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah.
The breakup has turned out to be like one of the best things that has happened to me, and I hope it was good for them as well. Do you know, I don't, although it ended bad, I don't want anything. I wouldn't wish any badness on him for it, you know.
Yeah. But they say as well, like losing someone that's still alive is harder than losing someone that isn't.
Yeah,
like, you know?
yeah.
So I can imagine like that would have been extremely difficult.
Yeah, it was. But after that, I was like, okay, there's been a lot of fucking events here now that's happened.
Yeah.
And like that, I am a bit of a go-getter, and I like to fix problems. I'm like, this is the problem, how can we solve it?
This is the flourishing phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
So then I started to go to therapy, and I started to really work on myself and be like, okay, if I don't want to get into another relationship and feel like this person, I'm relying on somebody else to make myself happy.
Yeah.
I had to try and find that from the inside first. So I've done an awful lot of work in terms of like self-development, and I really went down that route of therapy. Part of it now was I was getting sucked into looking at shit online that at the time I think it was a way of coping with the breakup, and looking at horoscope readings and tarot card things online, and
was it something I done kind of?
Yeah, or thinking, oh, I might find some answer of some random person on the internet, and they're going to tell me that he's going to come back and everything's going to be fine. Do you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of lost myself in that a bit, but then I kind of just accepted that I have to now find myself. Who am I? Who am I without being the footballer? Who am I without being the singer? Who am I without being in a relationship with this person? Who am I on my own? And that's kind of where everything kick-started that has got me to where I am today. Like I did an awful lot of therapy, and like, I know I keep bringing it up, but it has been a massive thing that has helped me to get to where I am now. I've been able to deal with all that shit that I'd went through, and learn how to deal with it, and learn how to see myself in a different light from how I had been perceived by the public before, and understand that what was said was not actually true. But I hated myself.
Yeah.
I hated myself, yeah. When people would talk about this term self-compassion, like everyone has to have self-compassion, I would feel physically sick when the therapist would ask me about, being compassionate to myself. I'd be like, can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. But I have massively, like, to think back to who I was, to who I am now. And, some people might say I'm like a complete different person. But I don't think, yes, okay, I am probably a complete different person. But I think I am now the person I was meant to be.
Well, that molded you, didn't it? You probably wouldn't change a thing, like, because
no.
like, you wouldn't be who you are now without all of them events.
Yeah. And that's why I can turn
like,
the breakup into being a bit of a positive, because it was the best thing that happened to me. I stepped away from even looking for anybody, and I totally focused on myself. And with that comes acceptance, and start listening to your own intuition. But something that I didn't mention is throughout the phase of being bullied for my appearance, I was also at the time was bullied and called names which now you wouldn't get away with them being called, but based on my appearance, people were calling me lesbian, dyke, all of these like hurtful things.
Yep.
And back then, being gay was seen as something that is just like really bad.
Yeah.
You should, like,
frowned upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, all of that had played an impact on me. And as I started to get older, I started to realize,
Was it always in the back of your mind?
I think it was always in the back of the mind that I could potentially be gay, yeah. But I was then questioning, is this because people are calling me gay? Am I just thinking I am because people are telling me I am?
Yeah, okay.
So there was a bit of that, and then there was a bit of, well, maybe I am actually gay, but I had internalized homophobia because of that hate. I was
Okay.
like, no, I am not gay. So whatever thoughts came in, I fucking buried them.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
I was like, I'm this,
Yeah.
I've seen now
What are
it's
people
like.
gonna think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've eyewitnessed what it's like to be gay. Who would want to be gay? Like literally nobody would want to be gay with the way that things
Yeah.
used to be back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
So I kept pushing it down, and I genuinely believed that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I was madly in love with that guy.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
It's not
yeah.
that I was just trying to hide in the relationship. I fully believed that I was straight.
Yeah.
But again, when I took the time away, and I took the time to
Actually listen to yourself.
listen to myself, and actually not try and push down my thoughts or my feelings, I was actually starting to see that, okay, these thoughts and feelings are starting to come up now. I have to start to listen to them.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, I can't accept this. Like, I'm not willing to accept that I'm gay. Again, totally homophobic. Not homophobic towards other people. Had no issue with it. My brother is gay. He came out when I was younger. My family, load of family members gay. It was not an issue. But not me.
Yeah.
No, I don't care. Yeah, all of you can be gay. That is absolutely no problem with me, but I'm not going to be gay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it took me a long time to actually accept the fact that I was gay, or that I am gay.
Yeah.
But again, that has been another catapult that I can't describe how unreal and how much of a positive impact it has had on my life.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
I was just like, how good did it feel to just be able to be yourself? Do you know?
Yeah, like it was really hard. The coming out process was really hard and all of that. But now that I've fully accepted it and I've settled into it.
You know who you are. Like,
yeah,
I know powerful,
who I am.
Like,
It is powerful, and I'm not trying to hide anymore.
No, and
I
why should you?
But that's
why
it.
should you?
But back then I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
And I was rejected. Not only was I being rejected by society in a way, but I was completely rejecting myself. So now I had to learn to love myself for who I am and totally accept that. And being able to do that has really had like a huge impact on my life. Like I value myself more. I put myself out there more. I don't really care what people think of me anymore.
And you can tell by the way you talk too, like
yeah,
that.
I'm a lot more confident in myself,
yeah.
and I'm actually able to give myself credit for things that I've done well. Whereas before, I wouldn't have ever said, "Oh, I was a good singer, I was a good footballer," and people would tell me that, but I wouldn't believe them. I'd be like, "You're talking shite. Like you're just lying to me."
Like how important is positive talk? Like
Unreal. Like,
it's
so important.
So important. Like.
But at the same time, it's very hard to talk positively to somebody if that person doesn't believe what you're saying. Like you can't. It is hard. How can I explain it? Like you could be saying to me there, "Oh, you're a class singer. You're a class singer," but if I don't fully believe that in myself, it genuinely feels like you're telling me a lie.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering, why is he telling me lies? Why is he trying to make me think that I'm a class singer when I'm not? And I can't explain why that is the case. But again, it comes back to, I suppose, how you feel about yourself and your sense of self-worth and your self-esteem. But it would genuinely feel like a lie. But then when you can actually start to treat yourself the way you would treat others and show yourself some self-compassion, you can actually start to see that, oh, people aren't all bad.
Yeah.
They are actually telling you the truth.
Yeah. And I suppose like for someone else that might be struggling with their sexuality and stuff like that, like any advice like you could give them, or like I'm sure like if they ever wanted to speak to you about it, you'd be more than happy to speak to them. Like
absolutely. No
and like
problem.
what would your advice be to them, like that would maybe help them if they were struggling?
It's hard because everyone has to do it in their own time.
Yeah.
If somebody, like other people, I think, like obviously had an inkling that I was gay, but them telling me that I wasn't helpful.
No.
But if you got to the extent, if somebody felt like that and they felt like they were confused with their sexuality and they felt like, oh, maybe I am gay or whatever, I would say if you have someone that you feel safe to talk to them about it and literally air your thoughts. Again, it has to be somebody that you actually feel safe talking to, and air your thoughts about it, and you will see that it's not as judged. It still is judged,
Not as much
Not
anymore.
as much as it
no,
was.
not as much anymore.
It is definitely...
It's definitely a nicer place for...
It is dramatically improved, but you will see that even just being able to say the words, like when I was able to say the words, I am gay.
Yeah.
Like, I could not say those words.
Yeah.
It just, it's like this fucking
What
wave.
was the emotion there? What was the feeling like?
It's literally, if you can imagine, like a waterfall just instantly flows out of you.
Wow.
It's like this just wave goes. So I would say for somebody who is struggling and thinking about it, I think to listen to your thoughts and don't be afraid of them, and start to see how would you feel about, how would you feel about it? What thoughts are going, what scares you about it? And then try to speak to somebody who might be able to relate to you. So somebody who is gay that will understand how you feel, or talk to somebody that you feel safe with, a family member that you feel safe with, and just get used to being able to say it yourself. I think that is a good first step. But this is just only from my experience. Do you know, other people, everyone has different experiences coming out. But for me, I think when I realised that I was able to tell one person and then it was okay, it felt like, okay, I feel strong enough to tell somebody else, or to tell somebody else. Brilliant. And it's not that I needed to tell anybody.
Yeah.
It's not that I needed to tell everybody, but there was obviously certain people, like my family and my closest friends, like I wanted to be the one to tell them.
Yeah, I understand.
After that, I was like, I don't care
yeah. It is what it is.
You know,
now.
it was talk of the town for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really care, do you know? Yeah. But as long as I was the one who got to tell the people that were important to me, that was it. And it was a big deal to be able to tell them. So I think...
Brilliant.
Rather than thinking about I have all these people to tell, it's like just focus on telling one person first, or being able to admit it to yourself first. Tell one person first, and then you will be able to build from there. But I think not to put yourself under pressure to feel like you have to come out when you're not ready, but at the same time, it will be the best thing that you do for yourself. Like anyone who's thinking about it, or if they're afraid to come out, it will catapult your life in ways that you just can't imagine.
Brilliant. Love it. Okay, so then you were diagnosed with ADHD.
I was, yeah.
So this is another, this obviously benefited your life too. Like,
massively.
Do you want, can you speak a bit more about that? Maybe kind of what you might have been struggling with before the diagnosis, and then maybe just afterwards, like how good, like they're two big things now that have really kind of like brought you aware to who you really are.
Yes,
like, you know?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed nearly 3 years ago now, because when I was 30. So I went privately to myself. So again, when the only reason I kind of realised was because I started doing all this self-development work and working on myself and increasing myself of sense of self-awareness and all of that. Now, part of me always kind of had an idea that I probably had something like this, but I was afraid to tell anybody because I had a tendency to be very much try something, get bored of it, change my mind, not want to do it, which is very ADHD like. You know, typical. Well, hello, that's what we do. We try something. If we are not interested in, it's like goodbye. Don't want to do it. So I kind of had an idea that maybe I had ADHD, but it was never picked up at home or anything like that. So when I had the funds and the awareness to, and the ability to do for myself, I went and I found out and I was diagnosed. But in terms of struggles, like I struggled to concentrate in school, and I was always comparing myself to my brother. Like my brother, I love my brother. Nothing bad to say about my brother. He's a really intelligent man, so smart. Now, I don't want to say I'm not smart, but in terms of our learning abilities, completely different. He loves to sit and read. I think he has part like photographic memory, loves to study, all of that stuff. I'm like, throw the book in the fire, complete chalk and cheese, you know?
Yeah.
So I would always kind of compare myself to my brother and be wondering, why can't I retain this information? Why amn't I good at this? Why amn't I good at that in terms of academics? And wondered, was it just me? Did I have something wrong with me? And I was perceived as just being lazy, not trying hard enough, just...
That's easy to just, put someone in that bracket, isn't it?
Oh, like any of the parent-teacher meetings, Mum would be told, well, she'd have, what is it? she's very bright. She'd have great potential if she'd only try.
Yeah.
And they'd point out that if a pen dropped in the classroom, she'd be turning around to see where it fell.
The awareness just wasn't there, was it? Like,
No. So I struggled with a lot of things like that, and struggled with I don't want to say time management, because I definitely have got better at that as I've got older, but struggle with like task paralysis or being organized for some things. If I have an interest in something, I'm the most organized person ever.
Yeah.
But things that I find boring, so disorganized. Like, I'm very messy. My house is messy and cluttered. I'm like, because I don't enjoy tidying up, and that is a common ADHD trait and all of that. But when I found out that I actually did have ADHD, it was again like another wave of relief. I was like, oh my God, I'm not lazy. I'm not, just bad at this or whatever. All these things that have been said to me. Yeah. It's just that I learn in a different way and I have different needs to different things. So finding out that, or getting that knowledge, it's not that I could just be like, oh, well, I can just blame everything on ADHD. It was more of a case of, now I understand myself better and I know how to work with myself rather than trying to fight against myself all the time. So being able to understand that, oh, XYZ task might be more difficult for someone with ADHD. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it might just be a bit more difficult. So knowing, okay, well, how can you make it a bit easier for yourself? And there's some things like that I'm very good at, and I'm good at because I have ADHD.
Yeah.
And there's some things that I find challenging because I have ADHD.
And that's fine.
Yeah, and it's fine. But it's all about just being able to, I'm just trying to figure myself out. Yeah. I think that's what I've been trying to do this whole time, is trying to figure out, who am I? Who do I want to be in this world, and how do I want to show up, and how do I want to live? And I do kind of enjoy like finding out those things about myself. But because of that, I think all of those things combined, that has got me to the place where I am now, where I do feel very confident. I have a vision and I know what I'm interested in, and I put time and energy into the things that I have an interest in because I know that's where I will excel.
Yeah.
And I don't give my time and attention to things that I don't really value or that I don't have an interest in, because I've started to learn, as you get older, you're wasting your time doing things like that, and you won't give it the same amount of effort if it's not something you actually want to do.
Brilliant. Yeah, love it. And I suppose we'll finish up then on just your career as we are now, of the powerhouse online coach, guest speaker, helping women transform all around the world. You have clients all around the world. That's incredible, and big up to you. And that must be really fulfilling too.
It is really fulfilling, because if we look back on the life I've had, I just didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do or what I was good at.
Yeah.
And it's only in the last number of years I've actually started to find that and find myself.
Yeah.
And it feels really empowering to be able to say that.
And the amount of women that you're helping is
it is very fulfilling to be able to give back to people and to be able to have an impact and to have a positive impact on people, and to think that I helped improve that person's life. That's really heartwarming. So I love doing that, and I love what I do, and I don't feel like I work because this is considered work, but this is just a bit of crack, two friends having a conversation.
Brilliant, love it. And I suppose just to finish off then, is there any advice you could give to someone that's lost, maybe doesn't know what they want to do, maybe struggling a small bit, that this just, they've seen how you've changed, turned things around, and how you've become very successful. Is there any tips or tricks or anything that you could give to the listeners that might help them?
First thing I would say is, don't settle. If you don't like something, or it's not tickling your fancy, or you think this isn't for me, that is totally fine. I think in school we're brought up to, you go to college and then you get a career and you stay in this job for the rest of your fucking life and then you retire. That doesn't have to be the case. It's it's okay to try something and say, this isn't for me, I'm going to try something else. I think that's perfectly okay to do that. And I don't think we're expected to know straight away what we want to do. So I would say to somebody, don't be afraid to try things and to try different things, or to start something and give it up if you don't like it. Take risks, challenge yourself. Try these things. If you have an interest in something, try it. If it doesn't work, okay, try something else. But I think don't settle, and listen to your own intuition, and put more energy into the things that actually light you up, and put less energy into the things that actually dull your sparkle, is what I would say.
Love it. Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Maureen.
Thank you very much.
As always, if you like the podcast, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Peace.
Peace.